Hey there, film fans. D-Corr number 4 here. Today I wanted to take you guys through and review a film that just came out. It came out on August 5th, Suicide Squad. This is a really popular movie that everybody's been talking about, so let's jump right in. So this movie was directed by a guy named David Ayer, and he's had his hand in some pretty dang good films. He directed Fury, which starred Brad Pitt and Shia LaBeouf. And he also directed a movie called End of Watch, which are both fantastic movies, and I would recommend them both. This movie is rated PG-13 for some violence and a little bit of sensuality and some drug use. Like I said, it was released August 5th, and here's where it gets interesting. Because when it was released, this movie was not popular with critics at all. Right, currently, at the time of the release of this video, on Rotten Tomatoes, it's 26%, which is not great, and it's dropping quickly. And the interesting thing, though, is that the user score is 71%, which is pretty dang good. So as far as this goes, in my opinion, critics don't love superhero movies. If you enjoy the comics, which I do, I'm a huge comic fan. If you enjoy the comics and you already love these characters, you're really going to like this film. Okay, let's talk about a little bit about the actors. Starring in this film is Will Smith as Deadshot, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, Viola Davis as Amanda Waller, and Jared Leto as the Joker. We'll talk about the Joker a little bit later because I know that's what everybody's interested in. So Will Smith. I'm not a huge Will Smith fan, actually. You know, I don't know. It seems like every one of his characters are the same, but I will tell you this, he made this movie. Will Smith was incredible in this movie. He was hilarious. His acting was superb as far as the character of Deadshot goes. I don't think they could have cast a better one. Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. She was fantastic. She was incredible. I can't say enough good things about her. And the relationship that they played between Harley Quinn and Deadshot was really interesting, and it wasn't something that we've seen before in other films, and I really, really loved that. Viola Davis, though, as Amanda Waller, I didn't love her because, you know, I've watched a lot of How to Get Away with Murder, a TV show that she's in, and it's basically the same character. And it's kind of the same character that she plays in all of her movies and TV shows. She's kind of just this sociopath. She's good. She's not great. But, I mean, that's Amanda Waller, though. If you read the comics, you know that she's kind of a jerk. And then Jared Leto plays the Joker, obviously. We'll talk about him later. But for right now, let's talk about the plot summary. So this is an enjoyable movie, but the plot, in my opinion, isn't that great. Basically what happens is there's a terrorist attack on New York City, or so they think, and Amanda Waller uses this to initiate her Task Force X, or the Suicide Squad. And so they go into, actually I don't know if it's called New York in this movie. I think they actually call it Midway or something. I think they call it something different than... but whatever, and so they go in. Rick Flag leads the Suicide Squad, and they eventually find out that the terror attack is actually Enchantress, who has kind of taken over a bunch of people, and she uses them as soldiers, and so the Suicide Squad is sent in to fight her, which is, I mean, it's interesting. It's not the plot I would have gone with, I don't think, because I think DC really is shooting themselves in the foot here. Because DC Comics has the widest range of perfect characters, but they're overusing these big destruction, massive event plots. That's a discussion for another day. If you like DC, or if you don't, post in the comments and let me know. And maybe I'll upload another video comparing Marvel to DC. Okay, let's talk about the Joker. Jared Leto, I think, is the perfect person to take up the mantle for the Joker. And from what we saw, he really was good. He was really, really intense. And obviously, we've heard a lot of stuff about what happened off screen with him, which is really interesting. However, he's in this movie for he has maybe 5 minutes of screen time total. That's all. He is barely in this movie, which makes sense. But at the same time, I'm a little frustrated because I love the Joker personally. He is one of my favorite all-time supervillains, and it was so fun to see Jared Leto as the Joker. But I don't know quite yet if he is that good, because I didn't see him that much. And it seems like they just kind of threw the Joker in to throw him in there. And if you have a character who is as big as the Joker in a film like this, you can't just throw him in. He has to be the center of the film because he deserves that center of attention. So there's my kind of spiel on him. He's a great character. I think Jared Leto will be a fantastic Joker. I hope they use him more. Like I said, wasn't in this film a ton. If I was to give this film out of 5 stars, I'd say probably 3 stars. And the only reason I'd give it that low of a score is because I didn't love the plot. Like I said, I think DC is overusing the plot of big destruction and a lot of big magical bad guys. I prefer more down-to-earth bad guys like the Joker. Alright, last thing we're going to do today for this review, I'm going to give you a soundtrack of the day. This is just a film soundtrack that I love because I love listening to film soundtracks. By the way, the soundtrack for Suicide Squad was incredible, and you should check that out. Soundtrack of the day is The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Now, this soundtrack is done by Hans Zimmer, and it's a collaboration with a bunch of different people. Junkie XL, for one, who did Mad Max and some other great movies. Hans Zimmer has done The Dark Knight. He's done The Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons, some fantastic scores. He is my favorite composer right now. Anyway, this soundtrack, a lot of people didn't love the movie Amazing Spider-Man 2. The soundtrack's incredible. It combines a mix of dubstep with a mix of extremely emotional music. Because this is the movie, this is the story of Gwen Stacy's death, and I think Hans Zimmer really captures that in the score, and it's extremely intense at some points, and at other points it's extremely emotional and really kind of touches you. I think it's just a fantastic score. So there's soundtrack of the day. So there's my review for Suicide Squad. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and post what you think in the comments. If you have any questions for me or about me, let me know in the comments, and stay frosty, film fans.